Good evening. Tonight's main story, a series of brutal murders that have shocked the nation.
My name's Aidan Mendle, and I'm a serial killer.
What are you doing?
Aspiring serial killer.
I'm Norman Graysmith, a documentary filmmaker, and when I stumbled upon Aidan Mendle, I knew I'd found the subject for my next story.
We're gonna start a family.
Wow.
Like Charles Manson.
The idea of being the head of a cult, that's always appealed to me.
Why do you want to join our family? Murder, drugs, sex.
منو برای یوگا. I here to learn.
Then you've come to the right place, my friend. Welcome to the Mendle Family Boot Camp. This is Weapons Training 101. The plan is for our family to find a home to attack.
Home invasion.
Tonight's the night we commit our first murders.
Why aren't you coming with us?
Well, I'll be coordinating things from here.
Kill them all.
They're really doing it. People have actually been killed. This is filmmaking history.
Tonight was the beginning of my serial killer career.
You're not a serial killer.
I bloody am.
You're not. You haven't killed anyone.
I'm going to finish this documentary with a real killer.
Looks like you're gonna get to see me kill someone after all.
Breathing! It's just practice.
Welcome back to Nerdly Out Loud, the official channel of nerdly.co.uk, your favourite British home for all your news, reviews and exclusive interviews. We like to cover everything from the big budget to the low budget to the no budget, with a special keen interest on the lower end of the scale. It's where my heart lives, it's where it lies, and I will always try and help promote the Brits and the independent scene and everything like that. As you can see, tonight we have an interview. We've got another 3 screens on here, which is pretty cool because I've mostly been doing reviews lately. But this is an interview with some of the cast and crew of a movie called When the Screaming Starts, which was a brilliant little mockumentary that I am dying to talk to these guys about. We have Mr. Dom at the top, who is cinema goer number 1, I believe.
Yes. My infamous cameo. Yeah, that's me. My main involvement in the film.
I was kind of sitting there watching the film, and when you turned up, I was like, there he is doing his Puff Daddy role. He's got to be in every video. And we also have Jared here, who plays Norman in the movie, and we have Kaitlin, who plays Claire in the movie. But first of all, I've kind of introduced everyone a little bit there, but let's go around the squares, let everybody know who you are and what you did on the flick.
I'm Dom Lenior. I'm a producer on the movie.
I'm Jared Rogers. Play Norman Graysmith, and I'm also a producer on the film.
Yes, I'm Kaitlin Reynell, and I've played Claire.
Now, first of all, I did have this question for a little bit later, but I have to ask you, Kaitlin. How on earth do you prepare and get yourself into that mode of that dead, vacant look behind the eyes you portray in this movie so exquisitely? How do you get yourself there?
Oh, thank you. Honestly, it's just, trying not to laugh most of the time. I actually try and think of things that are, dead puppies, things like that. It's horrible. But it makes you not laugh because you're like, otherwise, because I'm really bad at giggling and stuff on set, I probably was the worst for it. So, and it takes a lot of energy out of you as well. Like I felt quite tired after every take because your brain is going 100 miles an hour. But yeah, just like.
So before we get into this, I do have 2 quick questions. Nice little fluffer, easy questions, and maybe Dom will be able to help a little bit on this one as well. Does anybody here know who, I know we had 2 writers, we had Connor and we had Ed, who did the writing for this movie, Ed Hartland, Connor Boru,
Yeah.
Brew, right? So
Boru, Buto, he has many names from different reviewers and and press outlets. Many of them aren't his actual surname, but he's a man of many names.
That's the way we always do it. We don't care about last names. But so who does anybody know who came up with this line? Because it killed me, it slayed me, and I loved it, and it's all I could think about for the first 10 minutes of the movie. When it comes to murder, someone always ends up getting killed. What a line that is to start your movie, by the way. Does anybody know who came up with this?
I think it's got to be. I think Ed O'Connor. I don't think it was Carl Cedric who plays that news reporter. I think it was already in the script. I don't think that was a quip he came up with on the day. I think that was something that they sort of played with the comedy. Like, how early do you break it that it's not just going to be a horror, that there's going to be a lot of comedy in there as well. But yeah, that was Connor or Ed. I'm sure one of them would claim, but
it's one of those deadpan British lines as well. Like you say, it does kind of prepare you for what's actually about to come, and it does let you know what's coming. But it took me so off guard, and I was just like, what a line. What a line.
It's just staggeringly British, isn't it?
Isn't it? And it sets you up perfect. It sets you up perfect. And the other question is, does anybody know where I can buy a copy of Cannibal Death March's mixtape? Because I need that in my life.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we like Ed. So Ed and Nick Hartland, Ed's brother. That's kind of the band they formed. Yeah, from the film. So a lot of that is Nick's work. Like, he's in the music video. I think he's the bassist. I think he plays. But yeah, that's on. I know Burn the Witch is on Spotify. And I'm sure that Ed's or Nick has got a little compilation that they'll be able to send across to you.
Can we get it to Christmas number one? I don't know. Maybe.
It feels like it is. It feels like it was destined to be.
It's been surprisingly popular, actually. Like, I mean, I thought it was just like a funny scene, but people genuinely seem to enjoy the song.
Yeah, it's great.
Ed as well.
Brilliant.
It is scenes like that, though, that, you know, when you kind of slap them in there, I'm sure, like in Spinal Tap, there was probably a couple of scenes like that where they thought this isn't going to go anywhere, and all of a sudden everybody's singing Stonehenge. You know, it's one of those moments that it epitomizes the movie in a way, if you know what I mean. So, how did everybody become involved in this movie? How did Jared, you come on? Kaitlin, how did you come on? And Dom, how did you score your cameo role?
Probably best to Jared to start the sort of the origin story of the project.
Yeah.
Before,
Yeah. Yes, I mean, Ed, I think originally had the idea in sort of 2019, like he was reviewing, I think it was like the Ted Bundy tapes for the London Horror Society, and that's where this kind of idea sparked off of like a sort of a true crime style, obviously mockumentary, but someone that wants to aspire to be a serial killer than actually like following the story of them just sort of already being a serial killer. But a lot of us, like Connor, Ed, Yas, Octavia, like a lot of us had gone to Arts Ed and known each other for quite a number of years, and sort of been in the amount of short plays of Ed's we've all kind of appeared in and stuff, and yeah, sort of wanted to do a feature film for so long, and would go to Dom and Giles's what was it called? It wasn't the Filmmakers Podcast, but it was the
Make Your Film event.
The Make Your Film event, yeah.
Right, yeah, I remember them.
And
Back
Connor
in the day.
had been, I think, going to a few of those before we'd come along and mentioned Dom and Giles, and and just really kind of all sort of start from there. We met Kaitlin through Yas, who plays Jack in the film. Like, he runs a film club where Kaitlin was going to, and I suggested Kaitlin. So like, we'd never met Kaitlin before, like doing this project. So it was great to meet her. And
now you have the same wardrobe.
We did auditions for Claire as well. So yeah, it was just a line of, for some reason, American. I don't know why. You guys can probably say it was all these American girls, probably because there's something inherently creepy about us. But yeah, and then through Yaz, which was brilliant. I'm so grateful for it. It was so much fun.
And this is Kaitlin as well. This is like Caitlin's debut in a feature film, I believe, as well. So she absolutely smashed it as well. It's
well, thank you.
Pay me later, no, Jake.
Yeah, that's fine.
He's not joking.
Yeah.
And what was the pitch to get you guys on board? What was the main thing that made you go, you know what, I mean, obviously, Jared, you've spent time with the boys and you've seen it grow over the years, but what was the main thing that made you think, yeah, I'm going to do a mockumentary and it's going to be awesome?
We were all held at gunpoint.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Like
still
Connor.
like Connor's off camera right now. No, I think just like the idea of like the way over the last few years, like how true crime's been such a big thing, and you know, I love comedy and I love like sort of dark comedies and stuff, and I just hadn't heard before of a just a kind of a comedy horror that follows someone that aspires to be a serial killer. And yeah, I just like the concept and the initial script that Ed sent us and read in a Costa coffee shop, and yeah, I was sold. Also, he was kind of like you doing it, so which is most of like Ed or Connor's project. So there's no real choice anyway. So I just willingly.
Yeah. I was kind of fed by Connor in exchange for advice, and then advice became sort of connecting people, and then connecting people became, oh crap, I'm a producer on this, and then, and it kind of just it happened very sort of naturally. But I mean, the main thing is I'd known Connor for a while. He had come to the film events. It sounded like he had a team of people that were capable of getting it off the ground as well. And it was a good script. It was a funny script, and that is one of the main things. Is, you know, does the script actually grab you, and does it feel original? Because you read a lot of scripts and they're just sort of quite generic and don't have anything interesting or original to say. And this was quite unique.
So I want to talk to our actors a little bit here, because it is a mockumentary, and both your characters are kind of two opposite sides of the same sort of thing. So you've got Norman, who is a character who's making a documentary and very much knows he's making a documentary and kind of leans into that and plays towards that. And then you've got Kaitlin, who is mostly trying to just be. I've just used Norman as your actual name there, and your actual name. But
he is Norman.
and then you've got Claire, who is part of the documentary, kind of knows the documentary's going on, but is acting pretty much natural as well. How did you guys approach that in terms of Jared, the way you had to play this role, and Kaitlin, how you had to play your role?
Yeah, it's I mean, the camera is that other character in the scene, which I absolutely loved. Because I love watching those kind of mockumentary shows, like the What We Do in the Shadows and The Office and Parks and Rec, all that kind of stuff. So I think it's quite a treat as an actor, and for the character, I think for Claire, it was kind of that annoying fly on the wall that, it was always there. And she had no intention of it being there. And it was, Aidan was just pushing it the whole time. And she was just pushing Aidan, just happened to have to be filmed in those moments. But being able to use the camera as something to react to as well, like using those looks to camera and stuff that were edited in so beautifully. It's a dream as an actor, I think.
Definitely. And I think just like being a producer on the film as well, pretty much when I wasn't in front of camera, it was either making teas, finding costumes, picking actors up actually dressed, because there wasn't enough time to change, that actually dressed as Norman in the camper van. So it was unintentional going so method acting. Yeah. We're just going to like Richmond Station. It's kind of in the full brown suit, the glasses. Well, I think the glasses I did take off, but everything else wasn't enough time to make a quick costume change before doing the run. So there wasn't really much. Obviously, there was time beforehand to kind of like prepare and learn lines and stuff. But when it was like on set, it was just all kind of go. So it was either you're in front of camera or you're behind doing something else. So it was.
I think it's quite an interesting point as well, because what you said about the the reaction to the camera, but I think what made it so funny is the enthusiasm from Jared's character and Ed's versus the sort of contempt from Kaitlin and Oki and Kaveh and Yaz, and because there's a real juxtaposition in terms of the enthusiasm for it.
Yeah,
definitely, and it all works out. And how was that for you, Dom? This is a tight crew that have been together, kind of bouncing around for years, sort of working this film out, and yourself as well, Kaitlin, coming in sort of to the tail end before they start filming. How was that looking in and seeing how these guys worked and gelled and like made the movie?
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me it was a little bit different because I mean, Connor sort of came to me because I'd done a feature film and this was his debut. So in some respects, like to me, it wasn't that stressful because I'd sort of gone through it and sort of knew where everything, goes wrong or can go wrong. And it's not as bad once you've been through it a few times. But at the same time, I didn't really have to do that much in terms of like there were no major disasters that sort of needed to intervene with, and the main sort of core team were sort of so hard working that things did tend to run quite smoothly, and there was a lot of heads that were on the same page. I mean, we even had the editor Alan sort of on set, and he was kind of there to provide another sort of opinion, if needed. And I think that kind of core team really made things run very smoothly. There's just certain things that when you've gone through a film, you just know, okay, we need to get press on set. This day might be hard, or that day might be hard, or let's plan for this ahead. And it's just certain things that you've only really learnt by doing. But the actual running of the film went pretty well, I'd say.
It was really welcoming, at least for me. With them being such a tight group and having gone to school together and everything, it was very, very easy to slot in. I think, everyone was just very open and ready to play and just having fun. And I think it, looking back, I think it's probably going to be one of the best experiences I have on set just because of that atmosphere.
So on Dom's little point there as well about no major catastrophes or whatever, this movie has been a little while in the making. I mean, indie filmmaking at the best of times is often quite tricky, but here you guys are. You've been writing this movie for a while. You start filming, lockdowns, then you come back. You're filming under COVID restrictions. You got festivals online, some physical festivals. How does that feel in terms of coming out on the other side, movies out there, hitting festivals? What's the general feeling in the camp of the whole experience and now the final result?
I guess partly relief that it's out there after since sort of 2019 that Ed and Connor was like working on the scripts, and just a lot of as Dom was saying, that it being like for Connor as a director and writer, this being like a debut feature, same for like Ed and for us all as producers. It's just been like a big I don't know, it feels like sort of going to film school and you've got this great sort of feature at the end, and just I've never sort of realized I've had to wear so many hats. Like I always knew it would be a challenge, feature film, like going to the Make Your Film events. There was a lot of talk about the first feature and these things happening, so it was all prepared, but I think you can just never, you think you've covered every eventuality or everything you need on the list for budget or anything, and there's always something extra. But it's just been great, and the reviews we're getting is great, and it's been like, and actually I was kind of fortunate because I live in the US now, that when there was restrictions on people from the UK not being able to go to the US, I could just sort of tour a little bit of the US, went to Telluride Horror Show and Utah and that for Film Quest. So it was it's good. Little
slight bone of contention there. we were really excited about, Utah was on my hit list of somewhere like I really wanted to go. There's a great festival, and Telluride is one of the most beautiful places around. and the American COVID restrictions were like 2 weeks out from the trip being possible. Me and Connor were like batting our heads against the wall, like how can we get, maybe we can get diplomatic immunity, and and there was just no way to do it. But Jared had a nice time, so that's
I did, yeah. It was. I had a great time for the team. You know, had
you eat some eyeballs or something.
Took a bullet for the team there, didn't you?
Yeah. I was offered that, but luckily I managed to. It was like some tradition, like they had for the non-meat eaters watching. Like, you might want to mute this, but yeah, there was these like 3 kind of really big hogs, and it was like tradition that they would, like, the eyes would be like caramelized, and they'd do it like a flaming shot. And one of the festival organizers was like, "Hey, Jared, you know, it's your first time here. We want to help you out, like, kind of get you like almost like an initiation." But I was like, "No, I'm good, thank you." I think I said I'd already got a dodgy stomach or something. It's a bit of a... What are the acting skills?
Yeah. Oh God, no, thank you.
No, I don't want to give any real spoilers, because I do want people to check this movie out, and everybody definitely should check it out. I'll be dropping my review in the next few days. Probably I'll put the interview out, and then I'll put my review out. But there is
another half star than Giles.
It's guaranteed now. So, but yeah, there is one scene that I kind of want to dance around a little bit. It's pretty much one of the most pivotal scenes in the movie, if not the scene you're building towards the whole movie. I wanted to know how long this one kind of took to film, because it's a pretty gnarly sequence with a lot of different moving parts, and how intense the process was. And was there ever a point where it was like, we might be going a little bit too far here?
You're
the
talking
family
about
scene?
Yeah, it's
the
dinner
scene. Yeah,
the dinner scene.
Yeah.
That was, I don't know how we would have done that if it was in between the lockdowns. Luckily, that was one of the big scenes that we shot in January 2020, like before lockdowns and COVID was in the UK. But yeah, I think that was, I want to say it was like 2 days, maybe 2.5 days. Like, we had like a rehearsal where Tom, the fight coordinator, came in, because like you said, there were just so many moving parts, and we've all done like various bits of kind of stage and screen combat, but we sort of wanted the sort of the expert to come in and guide us. But yeah, it was, I don't know, there was like kind of 30 plus people on set, like cast and crew. That was probably like the one of the largest days. But I don't know, I think like the rehearsal really helped, just to kind of give everyone sort of work like what they're doing, and Adrian, the DP, was just kind of so great, and his crew that was like lighting the project. It was kind of the recce's that were done before, had like really prepared us for sort of how to sort of the whole like blueprint of it. I think there was still a little bit of fake blood that got through the carpet protector, and that, as it's standard with using fake blood. But
just a treat for someone else to find later on when they're having dinner.
Right. But the makeup, the gals were incredible on that day, because there was a lot of live, real stuff happening, which I think makes it look really brilliant. And I just remember them like hiding in the corner under the table, because there was so much action going on. The cameras going everywhere, and especially with it being mockumentary, the cameras literally in everyone's face, and they were just under the table with like a squirt gun kind of thing going out, and they were just absolutely brilliant. I don't know how they did it, but
yeah, they were great.
So in terms of that, just how much bloody fun did you have filming that?
It was pretty enjoyable.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I can imagine. And you guys have now seen this movie in festivals, and you had a big premiere at Fright Fest, which was awesome, and I saw a lot of good comments coming out of that. What has been the reaction to that scene when you guys have been sat there watching people?
I think there's a lot of it is there's like kind of that slight kind of gasp, and there's been like laughs. There's
always gasp.
Yeah. Just that initial kind of the moment where the film, like you say, what it's been building up to, and that sort of shift of when the sort of the true horror and I guess when the screaming does well and truly start.
Because the comedy sort of lulls you into a false sense of security, and it's very restrained, and it's very British, and it's very like, you know, awkward, and it's not really the sort of the ultra violence that it becomes, and yeah, it definitely does. Like there was a lot of the horror fans were very excited when that came on.
I think they get quite they sometimes don't know how to react, because if I've been with friends or family watching it, they're like, oh yeah, this is a comedy. Oh, they're actually, oh wow. And I think it is that turning point, and it's quite nice to see that reaction from them, because you're like, haha, we've got you.
Yeah.
Definitely, and it's one of the things we've said a couple of times now as well while we've been doing this, and while the movie looks as great as it does, and even though it's meant to be a mockumentary, or it is a mockumentary, it still looks fantastic. But there's something just unbelievably, and as Dom said a little bit earlier, unbelievably British about the way the turn happens, and it just like it's just brilliant. So on that, I asked about that one specific scene, but when you have been going to fests and speaking to people about the film, what's been the best comment you've had so far about this movie?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
You stumped them.
I only ask because people only ever seem to remember, and this is like a thing I've been doing recently, people only seem to remember the bad stuff that gets said. So I like to ask, what's the best thing you've heard?
I mean, I there's been a few questions about the cat Richard, which I always like to field, which possibly is because I brought the cat to some of the screenings, so people are like, is it a real cat? Was it CGI, etc., etc. So that's always an interesting one. That's pretty much all I've got.
I'm trying to think of like specific comments. I just remember just like the relief of Fright Fest, it being like the first time in a cinema and a festival, and then the same with Telluride Horror Show was like the first time that I'd been like sat in a different kind of country, and obviously it was an English speaking country, but you just don't know, like, is it going to translate, especially sometimes the real kind of Britishness of some of the scenes, and just I think like hearing that laughter land and the kind of the shocks and the gasps like of that working, because you kind of, I mean, Alan, the editor, and Connor, the amount of sort of back and forth they did before they'd even show us kind of cuts. So we'd seen the film so many times, and you think, oh, I think this is funny, and I think this is good, but you just, you never know until kind of being in that cinema room. And
people don't always laugh at the bits you think. But I guess the surprise for me was that, to me, it's often felt like more of a comedy. It obviously does go very horror at the end, but it's felt like more of a comedy. But the horror fans really enjoyed the comedy. And that's been like consistent, at every festival in Europe, in America. So I guess that was always the bit that didn't surprise me, but was very pleasing, because it's like ticking off a box in a genre that people weren't necessarily there to actually see. And
it does land. The comedy does land from word one. I mean, like I said right at the start, with the news feeds and everything, just that one line, it's such a line that just hits you, and you kind of go, right, so this is what I'm watching.
Yeah.
There was loads of bits I laughed at that I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to laugh at, but I think it's the charm to the movie, and it's why it works. And you guys done a great job of nailing the tone, the vibe, the dark horror, dark humor, the light comedy and everything, and that dead vacant eyes stare. Just you've all nailed it. This for me is up there in my 2022 movies, in my top 5 right now. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Cool. I think you guys have done
that's brilliant.
A wonderful job of a movie that, going in, I was kind of like, really, a mockumentary, really? But no, you stunned me with this film. What's next for the movie? Are we looking at a sequel, a spin-off, maybe have a TV show? I mean, I think the twins deserve a spin-off, but I would put my apples in the Mickey cart.
I mean, that was something that I know Ed and Connor have been like discussing about because I think there was going to be like an extra scene in like the credits of this. It's going to be called like Mickey and the Misfits, of like all the people that didn't make the cut of the family, and so that's still on the table to Mickey played by Rob Tofield always gets the. There's a few kind of a lot of laughter from his scenes and a lot of kind of R's as well at the certain points when
surprisingly heartfelt, isn't it? It's so stupid, but there's something quite touching about it as well.
It's that character that like it's the character you're not expecting, and he pops up every now and then, and you kind of fall in love with him, but at the same time you're like, I really want him to be part of this so somebody can kill him. But but what is next for the movie? What happens next?
Well, we've got the UK release on the 26th with Signature, so that will be on all the sort of the classic outlets in the UK. So you should definitely go and watch that. It's also out in the US already with Cinedigm. And that's got a Screenbox exclusive, which is a new horror streaming channel, which is pretty exciting. And then it will be on the usual suspects within a month, I think, a couple of months. Yeah.
So without delving too deep into that side, because I've seen Screenbox right now, and I see it's getting a bit of a rep about it. How did that come about? Because obviously, Dom, with you kind of being that side of things, how did that come about?
So a friend of mine, Finn, who's a producer, had worked with the sales agents, Double Dutch, before on a few of his films. And so I reached out to them and mentioned I was friends with Finn. And they looked at the movie and they just immediately liked a lot of sales agents looked at it and they thought, okay, well, is it a comedy? Is it a horror? We're not sure what to do because it's not in our sort of tick box of, very, very cut out, genres. But they immediately sort of were attracted to the content and the kind of film it was. So that kind of was where it all began. On the UK side, various team members and myself have got sort of loose connections to Signature, and they're kind of one of the biggest, probably the most sort of mainstream out of the kind of indie distributors that do bigger stuff as well. So it just seemed like a natural fit, really. And
as well, right now, Signature's putting out great content. I think I reviewed like 3 or 4 things recently because, again, much like when the Screaming starts, I was pleasantly surprised. Went in with like some of the movies that they're bringing out. I've gone in with some quite low expectations, but I've just been like, holy crap, that was actually really fucking good. And so I'm glad that you guys are with them. It's a perfect fit, and I do want everybody to check this movie out. Again, I'll reiterate the 26th. I will be posting all about the place and everything like that, and I'll try and make sure that people do see it. I'll ram it down their throats. But what's next for everyone else? What's next for you guys going forward? Have you got any projects in the pipeline you can talk about? I know Dom's getting shady these days about his projects, but is there anything we can see you in coming up soon?
Well, I actually work in casting at the moment, so I've gone to the dark side now, which is very fun, and I'm working on lots of film, TV, theater, just all about the place, which is a lot of fun.
Well, don't stop acting though. You need to get yourself in more movies because you are fantastic in this film, and there's a lot of those little scenes. You know how we're talking about those little moments where you sort of glance to the camera or anything like that. A lot of those scenes are stolen by you with your little glances. So, if you're going to be a casting agent, cast yourself.
There we go.
I'd like to see a Tartan Twin follow-up film starring you two. That's just my
yes.
I mean, I'd watch the crap out of that.
There's the title. We've got it.
Nice. And Jared, you got anything there coming up or you're working on?
There's a few like various sort of feature, sort of TV kind of ideas really, but nothing that's kind of in anywhere near close to sort of shooting. Like I do just like little sketches and stuff, just like online, kind of the YouTube shorts, TikTok stuff, just to keep me kind of sane in between. Working on this really on the whole kind of post side and that of looking at legal contracts and stuff. It's trying to keep that creative outlet. But there's nothing really major. I just kind of wanted to sort of just focus on this and sort of learn as much as I could from the sort of the post production side.
And Dom, you're always got like 10 or 11 different projects on the go that you can't tell us about.
Yeah. I mean, official answer is I'm working full time on the release of When the Screaming Starts. The unofficial one, I don't tend to talk about stuff that's kind of being put together, but I have just finished producing another film, which is with the Shakespeare Sisters, which is like a sci-fi comedy, which is going to be really good, coming out early next year. And had a lot of fun doing a hijacking TV show based on something that happened in the 80s that's coming out next year, and working in the aviation team over the summer. So it's been a kind of a pretty cram-packed summer, and now this is on at the moment, and there's a few things sort of boiling in the background as well.
So what you're saying is nothing else matters apart from this film.
Yes.
Now I'm gonna wrap it up round about now, but first of all, I want to ask one of you. It doesn't matter who, but one of you. The movie comes out on the 26th. Who wants to give the pitch to get people to watch it?
Dom?
I don't know. Everyone Connor asked me to do the pitch. I don't know if I'm very good at the pitch for this, but it's When the Screaming Starts is a mockumentary that follows the life of a aspiring serial killer who's trying to assemble his own Manson family, and avid documentarian played by Jared here follows the whole experience, and it goes into a wacky, deadly world of serial killing as the antics ensue.
Well done.
That's good.
I mean, that was pretty weak, Dom, but we'll take it.
It's better than you would have gotten from either of us.
Right. So again, thank you for doing this tonight. Thank you for coming on and chatting to me. I think When the Screaming Starts is it's a I was going to say lovely, but it's a brilliant little film. It's a great old mockumentary.
Wholesome family film.
It's definitely a wholesome family film. I mean, I watched it with my 6-year-old, so. But I mean, she's seen worse. She's seen worse. Don't worry. But I genuinely want people to check this film out when it hits, and it's coming out from Signature. Everyone at Nerdly, myself included, we'll be pushing it on the socials as much as we can, and try and get it out to the world and make sure people see it all over the place. But before I let you guys go, let people know where they can find you on social medias, unless you don't want them to, and where they can see any work that you've got.
I guess, I mean, for the film, I think everything's on When the Screaming Starts, and I think Twitter is at When Screaming, and then I'm just on, I think most things is Jared Rogers Word is, across the socials for me.
Yeah, mine's just at Kaitlin Reynell. Easy peasy.
Mine is Director Dom Lenior or Dom Lenior, depending on which platform you go for. But you should be following the film.
You should be.
And watching the trailer as well. And more importantly, buying the film. That's also another good option. All of those, you can't go wrong with any of those decisions.
It's kind of the most important part, Dom. Leave it till the end. Always be close. People, please do check it out. Come back for the next episode that we put out there. It'll probably be a review, an interview. I don't know what's coming up next, to be honest. I don't plan these things. But check out When the Screaming Starts. It's a brilliant mockumentary that will surprise the crap out of you, and you'll just have a good time.